Trying to know God is a little bit like trying to know your own mind. In fact, I think that's a good analogy to use. Trying to know God is trying to know your own mind. For mind, the great cosmic mind, macrocosm, is our mind in microcosm, and that is what we call God. I'm just tapping into some of my childhood memories, and I'm becoming aware of the CPTSD, complex trauma that I experienced in childhood. I have kind of forgotten it over the years, and it is a wonder that I am as mentally sound as I am now. And in spite of having let go of my Christianity, my belief in Jesus, I was so programmed and conditioned that if I would let go of Jesus, my world would fall apart. But the opposite has been true. As I am putting myself back together, the fragments of the mind, and it's so complex. Christianity has really not done God any justice with its simplistic approach. Mind, with all of its layers, conscious and unconscious, is what I would say best describes God. And we're all linked into it, we're all connected to it, and the more we seek to know and understand ourselves, our mind, our trauma, the more we understand this phenomenon called God. And the more you know the more you become familiar with your trauma and with the effect it has on the mind and how the psyche responds to it, the more you understand that you can't paint God in such a black and white way, simplistic way. God is as complex as our mind, our psyche. And there is thousands, if not millions, of layers that we have yet to become aware of. And we have to factor in, like even just my own trauma, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, of living in a home where you always anticipated the terror of your father. I did not have the full understanding of what that did to my body, physically, psychologically, emotionally, on all the different levels. And I'm trying to navigate this life and filter this life through that trauma. And everyone's perception of life is going to be different because of that trauma. And to try and make God a rigid one-size-fits-all definition is just too simplistic. Once you know yourself, you have to figure out how your theology, if you hold on to theology, how your relationship with Jesus fits into that. Then comes the question, why was I seeking a relationship with Jesus in the first place? It's all that conditioning through trauma. We were set up through trauma, psychological trauma, first of all. As an example, we were told since we were wee little that if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. Talk about trauma. That is trauma. That's complex trauma that penetrates into every aspect of your being. So once you resolve that trauma, that you were basically scared into believing God, once that trauma is healed, the natural response would be, well, then now I don't need God anymore because there is no hell. That threat is eliminated and the solution is no longer needed. So what do you do with your belief in God when you resolve that particular trauma? Do you understand my reasoning here? Then you get the next trauma from your friends and family. If you decide, well, I don't need God in that sense anymore, then they traumatize you by ostracizing you and punishing you and emotionally withdrawing and neglecting you. This life is one trauma after another. Is it any wonder we function as well as we do? But like I said in my opening thoughts, God is not this simplistic idea of a man in the sky. God is an inexhaustible mind. And to just set out to trying to know your own mind and soul, that is how you quote unquote know God. I can't point anywhere because the ego is going to box it in again and solidify a definition for God. Just allow it to be fluid. Allow it to unfold just as your awareness unfolds about yourself. But I would say the definition that best describes God is our own mind. Not the ego. I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about the psyche. The deep layers of psyche. The unsearchable layers of consciousness and subconsciousness. That's why we need eternity to unravel and understand this, to grasp even a small understanding of it. Trauma defines our reality and unfortunately continues to define our reality. And I think we're here to resolve and neutralize this trauma and our response to trauma, our response to the triggers. Yeah, let me get back to doing my dishes.